Seated. Our Advent season has been a season of reflections upon different prophetic words from the Old Testament. Words about the dreams and the longings and the expectations of a prior people. Y estas esperanzas y sueños proféticos del Antiguo Testamento que hemos mirado han incluido esperar un nuevo líder, to wait for a new leader, esperando la venganza sobre los enemigos. We've looked at how sometimes the prophets wait for vengeance. We've looked at how they wait for vindication and the restoration of their people. Se espera la reivindicación y restauración de su pueblo. And today, we look at them waiting for peace, la esperanza por la paz. En el mundo hoy hay muchos pueblos que están esperando la paz, ¿verdad? Comenzamos en Colombia, que ha estado envuelto en guerra por 2 generaciones y que tenían la oportunidad de votar a favor de un pacto por la paz y el pueblo no votó a favor de la paz. 50.2%, por 0.2%, el pacto de la paz fue derrotado y negado. We look at Israel and Palestine, where peace has been longed for even longer, where Jews and Palestinians from ancient woundedness continue unable to find common ground, at least enough of them that they could form a peaceful coexistence. We look at the reality between African American, Anglo American, Mexican American, Asian Americans in our own country. And we ache for a peace that would cease the violence. Deseamos un paz que silencia la violencia. We look at Aleppo, where it seems that the only way that the bloodshed will stop is through an outright massacre of one part of that community. Pero la paz también evita a nosotros al nivel personal. Pienso en las personas que luchan con enfermedades mentales y que desean solamente que cesen las voces alternativas que están dentro de sus cabezas y que no logran tener la paz. O cuyas heridas son tan fuertes o cuyo pesar es tan duro que no encuentren en este momento la paz tampoco. We ache for peace in so many different levels of our society, in so many different personal ways. We long for something that seems just beyond our reach. And yet, we keep hoping that it could be possible. The biblical vision for peace is one that I hold very dear. The word for peace in Hebrew is shalom. La palabra en hebreo, shalom, incluye y abarca mucho más que la terminación de hostilidad. It's easy to understand how once the guns stop in Aleppo, once there is no more overt conflict, there is not going to be peace. Because the peace that will actually heal that community means that the grievances and the things that brought that conflict into being have to be addressed somehow. De igual forma, en Colombia, la paz tiene que construirse en bases de justicia que responden a las necesidades de los pueblos que se levantaron en primer lugar. And the biblical vision for peace is far more than no more guns firing. It's about people having enough. It's about the community experiencing itself as a whole, where everyone is a valid and important part, en que cada uno tiene su lugar en la mesa y tiene su valor para la sociedad. Shalom abarca una visión mucho más amplia que solamente la terminación de conflictos. Isaías, en su capítulo 65, casi terminando las profecías de su comunidad, habla de una recreación del mundo, una recreación que ofrece algo mucho más amplio que la terminación de conflictos. Isaías habla a un pueblo que fue destrozado por la guerra y por el exilio, por haber sido derrotado y dominado por poderes más fuertes. And yet Isaiah has the audacity to imagine and to hope for peace that actually reintegrates the community as a whole and gives them a future that is abundant and full and even delicious. Let's look at what Isaiah offers us. Behold, he says in God's name, I will create a new heaven and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. Words echoed at the very end of our Bible in the book of Revelation when John imagines God creating a new heaven and new earth. For Isaiah, the hope is for a new Jerusalem, a new Israel, which becomes the reflection of what God wants to do for all peoples. An image that then is picked up by John and shared as a desire for all that is to be renewed and restored. But I love the specificity of Isaiah's vision. Jerusalem will become a joy. Jerusalén será un gozo y su pueblo una alegría. Jerusalem will be a joy because there will be no more weeping, there will be no more crying, there will be no more distress, there will be no more anguish, as Jerusalem has known before. Children will not die when they are in their infancy, but they will grow up, and they will not only grow up, but they will grow old. 100 years will be nothing. A person who reaches 100 years will be considered average. That's not me, probably. Probably not you either. But it's a dream that Isaiah has for a community with long life, of vitality, of veracity. Not only will they live long, but they will enjoy the fruit of their labor. La comunidad de Israel, por varias generaciones, trabajaba para enriquecer otro reino, los babilonios. Su producto, su cosecha, su trabajo beneficiaba a otra persona, no beneficiaba a ellos. And so the dream that Isaiah has is that people will build their own houses and be able to live in them and not be carried off into exile to live somewhere else. That they will plant their own crops and that they will be able to eat them and not have to give them away in tribute to a foreign government. Isaiah's longing is for the people to be able to benefit from the work of their own hands, the labor of their own lives, the sweat of their own brow will bless them and not simply go to benefit someone else. They will live long, they will work hard, but benefit from that work. But even more than that, their relationship with God will be different. But throughout the history of Israel, it was a matter of Israel crying out and God responding. From their outcry, which Moses becomes the agent of God's liberation to deliver them from Pharaoh, to their crying out in the desert for food, to their crying out for help against the Babylonians who had taken over their country. They cry and God responds. Pero Isaías imagina algo aún mejor. That's not so bad, you know. We cry out and God responds. That's not such a bad thing, right? But Isaiah can take it even one step further, so that God responds to their need before they even cry out about it. Que Dios está tan cerca y los reconoce y los ama con una ternura que es capaz de dar lo que necesitan antes que ellos lloren. It's like a good mom, right? Who knows even before the baby gets fussy that it's time to feed him or her. Who knows before the baby starts to cry it's time for nap. God becomes that kind of responsive parent, lovingly able to give what we need before we even know that we need it. And this image of a community that functions well, that lives long, that is in deep relationship with God, is what Isaiah longs for in this new heaven and new earth. But it's not just the human beings who benefit. No solamente los seres humanos benefician, sino también las otras criaturas, porque termina su visión con estas palabras. El lobo y el cordero pasarán juntos. El león comerá paja con el buey. Y en todo mi monte santo no habrá quien haga daño ni destruya. Wow, what a beautiful image. Even the creatures of nature learn to live in peace with one another. That's the peace that is depicted in Shalom. That's the vision and the longing that Isaiah has for his community. And I wonder, if you were to write a poem or a prayer for the peace that you want or need right now, what you might say. En tu vida, ¿qué es la paz que más deseas? ¿Y cómo sería? ¿Cómo lo describirías tú? Would it be peace with a family member with whom you are in discord? Would it be peace with a neighbor with whom you are in conflict? Would it be peace with someone in this community that you haven't spoken to? Would it be peace in our city that manifests in some particular way? ¿Qué clase de paz desearías tú para tu vida, tu iglesia, tu ciudad, tu nación, tu mundo? Las profecías de Isaías eran profecías de una persona o de una persona y su comunidad. No son tan diferentes a los sueños de paz que guardamos nosotros en nuestros corazones, que también forman parte de lo que inspira una comunidad a actuar y vivir diferente. What is the peace that you hope for? John Philip Newell, one of my favorite authors out of the Celtic tradition, has a book. His most recent book is called Rebirthing Christianity. Renacer el Cristianismo. Oh no, excuse me. Rebirthing God. Renacer el Dios. La renovación de cristianismo. His dream is that we as a Christian community can reimagine our faith and what is most important about it. And in each chapter, he articulates one particular component of what he wishes we as a Christian community could reclaim as our inheritance from Jesus. And among those things, entre todas las cosas que él desea que retomamos como aspectos centrales de la vida y ministerio y enseñanza de Jesús, uno es el no actuar con violencia, nonviolence, as Jesus' way. He quotes in that book how Gandhi said one time, if Jesus' followers actually did what Jesus said and loved their enemies, the world would have been transformed a long time ago. But we fail. We don't take seriously Jesus' call to not use violence. And so our world continues to suffer. And he asks the question, is it possible that each of us, es posible que cada uno de nosotros en alguna forma pequeña podríamos tomar un solo paso hacia la reconciliación, hacia el amor del enemigo, hacia el amor del otro? One sign today that is encouraging to me and blesses me every time I hear one of the little bits is I listen to National Public Radio, and there is a campaign that they have launched to just get people to listen to each other. To listen to somebody who thinks differently from you. To sit down and have coffee with someone whose opinion is not yours and listen. Don't argue. Just listen. Just try to understand what they think and why they think it. It's a very simple thing. Es una cosa sencilla. Escuchar a otra persona. Pero no lo hacemos. En lugar de sentarnos con los que piensan diferente, nosotros los demonizamos. We make demons out of them instead of listening. Because it's so much easier to gather with the folks who think just like me. It's so much easier to gather with the ones who see the world through eyes very similar to mine. Pero si queremos un mundo de shalom, si queremos un mundo como el mundo que Isaías imagina, si queremos un mundo en que los pueblos pueden convivir y no pelear, if we want that kind of world, we have to choose to act differently. Each of us, cada uno, tiene que tomar un paso hacia la paz. So, my encouragement, my challenge to myself, as well as to you, is to take one step toward that peace that you would describe as what you want. That peace that you describe as what you long for or dream of in your family, in your church, in your community, in your neighborhood, in your city, in your world, in your nation. Toma un paso, sencillo que sea, hacia la paz. Let us pray. Lord, I remember the words of Mother Teresa, that there are no great things that must be done, just small things done with great love. And I pray that you help us each to find some small step toward peace that we can do with great love. Un paso infundido con un gran amor, capaz de avanzar tu sueño de shalom. Por Cristo te lo pedimos. Amén.